it's a big fight for Montreal. You know, Davey's a local hero. To me, it sounds like his last hurrah. He's in good shape. He's been trained. I've watched him work out the other day. I've spoken to a few guys who've been sparring him over here because we've been in Toronto, and a couple of guys who boxed last week. I sparred him a couple of weeks back, so we've got a bit of a good insight into him. But you know, on fight night, it's all different. The adrenaline kicks in. You know, the crowd, the atmosphere, it spurs you on, and you know that's going to be a big motivating factor for David Lemieux. He doesn't want to get, you know, beat up or knocked out in front of his own crowd, so he's going to do everything he can do to win.
It's been seen or described as a risk, or certainly a chance of that Billy Joe's come over here to the champion's backyard where he's a big star, big ticket seller, trying to win a world title for a second time. Would you go along with that? Do you see it? Is it an advantage?
Well, James Gale boxed at the weekend in his hometown, you know, in London,
yeah.
and he got beat by a decent guy. You know, any fighter who's prepared to get in the ring with the world champions, he's got to be a good fighter, and he'd been in with some quality opposition. And it just wasn't James's night, and that's what happens. It was a fair result, from what I believe. We've got neutral judges for this fight. We've got a Canadian referee, which I've seen several times. He's actually refereed my fighters. I think he's a very good referee. So, you know, I think the only disadvantage could possibly be that the time difference. You know, not coming out here 3 weeks before. If we'd have left it a week before and come out, we'd have been all over the place, because the first week we came here, 3 weeks back, he's still adjusting to the time, but Billy's been here. By the time he gets into the ring on Saturday, he'll have been in here nearly 3 weeks. He's adjusted to the time, he's adjusted to the jet, like everything. So I think for me, the only risk was, leaving it too late to come here and not preparing properly, and Bill's done both.
So no worry in terms of
not whatsoever.
Home decision, that sort of thing.
No. I mean, look, Bill's shown that he can outbox people for 12 rounds, even in bad shape. You know, when he boxed EUBANK, I can remember watching that fight. And after 5 or 6 rounds, I just thought to myself, you know, Billy's got into EUBANK's head. EUBANK's has stood off him for too long. Billy's nicked the first 6 rounds, and he cruised through the next 4 or 5. And I don't know whether it was the 11th or the 12th round when EUBANK started piling on the pressure, and Billy started looking a little bit ragged, nearly got caught. And I just thought to myself, he's only trained for a 6-round fight, and that. You know, it's a bit stupid, but it takes some bottle to get into a ring knowing you're not prepared against a fighter like EUBANK, who is, a fit guy. He liked the experience that Billy had, and Billy had the experience. That's what got him through the fight. Billy this time, the experience coupled with the fitness training, the boxing training, the dieting, making the weight right, is going to make him the complete fighter, and that cancels out the risks.
How different is the Billy Joe that's here today to the one who walked in your gym, before your first fight? How long has it been? Like,
well, he came into the gym the back end of June, so we're talking nearly 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
You know, a lot of people were sending me, when the news came out, sending me text messages, oh, it's going to be a handful, it's going to be hard work, it's not going to be for you. But we're used to dealing with those type. We've been dealing with those kids for I've been dealing with those type of kids for 30 years. Brendan's been dealing with those kids for like 50 years. So it's, what might be difficult for some is just commonplace for us. And, he said to me the first off, my trainers, when I had Jimmy Tibb, I expect to walk in this gym and you tell me what I'm going to do. I'm not the type of fighter who's going to say, I want to do this and I want to do that. He says, I want you to tell me, because, well, that's how it is. So, that's how we do it. And he sticks to the plan, he listens, he does as he's told, he doesn't go off the plan, he never answers back, he doesn't argue, he doesn't dispute. He does everything, and I think he knows in himself. After the Monroe fight, when I was telling him his weight was going to be this particular, you're going to wake up at this weight, he's going to be this fit, he's going to hit these targets. I think at first, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, I'm going to have to see this to believe it. But after the whole camp, he said, you know what? Because I can't believe how hard I've been making boxing for myself all these years. I should have done this years ago. I said, you could have done this years ago, but you wouldn't have got it. You wouldn't have been mentally switched on. You've come to me at a point where you're ready to pack up. So it's a do or die situation. A few years back, you could have come here, had a camp and thought, yeah, it's not what it's all about, because you were young and you weren't listening. I said, but you come to a point, like a desperate point in your career, when really you needed to make this change, otherwise your career was over. Yeah. So you're going to accept it more.
Just a couple away from this fight. First of all, news that Jason Quigley's going to be flying over and come to your gym in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Big move, bit out of left field. Obviously a decorated amateur and done very well as a pro so far.
You think that, but unbeknown to me, Jason was out on the undercard of Kell Brook against Sean Porter. We took the camp out there. We took Kell out and about 7 or 8 other gym members. We were same thing again. We were in Vegas for 2 weeks, and we flew into Los Angeles for a week before the fight to acclimatise, to get everything right. Jason was there. He was obviously watching what was going on. I said hello to him. He watched Kell's fight, and I think that's the kind of environment he wanted to be in. He's out in America. He's left his own devices. Obviously, he's got a coach, but there's a life outside of boxing. You're maybe in the gym for 2 hours a day. What do you do for you sleep for 10. What do you do for the other 10? And our gym environment, everybody gets on together. You can see all the guys today who've come over from England. Billy's paid for the lot. Galahad, Kell Brook, Nadeem Sadiq, all these guys, they've all come out because they're the guys he feels comfortable around. Look at the days back with Naz, Johnny Nelson, Clifton Mitchell. Naz used to bring his entourage, so he was settled, he'd bounce off him, he'd have fun. There was no nerves. Everybody kept him on a high, and it's the same with Billy. So with Jason, I think he recognised that, and that's the kind of environment he wanted to be in. I think he watched Kell box in America. He's obviously watched me as a trainer. We've had a meeting. He came up. We did a couple of sessions. He was happy, the way we do things, and he's 13-0. He had a Mexican trainer, Manny, who obviously did very well. But fighters, as they go and progress, they do tend to change. I'm not one for taking other people's fighters. I have to be really attached to the kid or see something in them, because it's deeper than boxing. You've got to have a good relationship with that fighter. If for the first few weeks of training Billy we didn't gel, then that'd have been the end of that. Because I'm not the one who's going to, bend over backwards and accommodate them to what they want to do. They've got to do it my way or no way. So, Jason's recognised that, and we'll see in the first fight. He's down to box in March. We'll see how the training goes. He's going to come on camp straight after Christmas. We're going to go over to Fuerteventura. We're going to take Kell over there because Kell's fighting March the 3rd. I think Jason's fighting 2 weeks after. So it's going to work well. They're going to be training together, pushing each other on.
Is there space for him in Barry's attic?
Possibly, we'll have to see whether Billy's back in camp soon or what the plans for Bill are. But after this, I think
you've got to put him up though.
Yeah, he'll be 1 minute. He's got to be in walking distance of the gym. That's the way it is. Billy's the first one up in the morning, knocking on my door, saying, "Come on, we're ready to train." He's up at 6:30 every morning. He's in bed for 10 o'clock every night, and that's he's up in the attic watching Netflix, on his mobile phone. And he's doing it right, because when he's doing the killer running sessions in the morning or the sparring sessions at 10 o'clock. He's up for it. He's got it. He's not, he's not shirking. You can tell he's doing everything right. He knows he's doing everything, and you can see him sometimes just sitting in the corner smiling to himself, thinking, "You know what? Should have done this years ago."